Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I just hope you can excuse my quite frankly horrible Elden Ring gameplay in the back. I'm just getting back into the game. I haven't played in like a year and a half. But today's question is, when was the last time that you cried? And I mean like actually cried. Not getting watery eyes for 2 seconds and then being like, I'm fine. I mean like cried. Cried your heart out. Because I think a lot of people don't even remember. We get so used to pretending we're all okay all the time. You have a bad day? I'm fine. You're stressed? I'm fine. You feel like everything is going to shit? I'm fine. And after a while, you start saying it so much that you almost believe it. But honestly, I think a lot of people are exhausted. They're stressed, lonely, and overwhelmed. They're insecure and they're angry and they're sad. And they keep all of it to themselves because they don't want to burden or be dramatic. And maybe you grew up feeling like crying makes you weak, like you have to keep it together all the time no matter what. But why? Why do we act like bottling everything up is somehow better? People will punch walls, stay up all night overthinking, isolate themselves, pretend they're okay for months. But crying is apparently too much? That makes no sense. Crying doesn't make you weak. It doesn't mean there is something wrong with you. Sometimes it just means you've been carrying too much for too long. And honestly, I think a lot of people watching this probably have not cried in a long time. And that's not because they're okay, but because they've gotten so good at pushing everything down that now they just feel numb. And being numb isn't the same as being okay. So I'm asking you again, when was the last time you cried? If your answer is still, I don't know, maybe ask yourself why. Why do you feel like you always have to pretend? Why do you feel like you always have to seem okay? Because you don't. You're allowed to have bad days. You're allowed to be overwhelmed. You're allowed to feel like shit. You're a person. And you do not have to keep acting like you're fine all the time. I think a lot of people are scared to cry because they don't want the other person to see them differently, or they think people will judge them or think they're being dramatic, which is honestly completely valid. People are fucked up and that is never gonna change. It might even get worse. But that does not mean you cannot sit alone and cry. It doesn't mean that you cannot sit alone and weep. Think about what's going through your head. Take it out, but calmly. Cry. Let your tears flow, and it will make you feel so much better. If you're upset, let yourself be upset. If something hurt you, don't act like it didn't. If you've had a rough week, rough month, or rough year, admit that to yourself instead of acting like you have to be okay 24/7. Because pretending you're fine all the time is exhausting. You start feeling disconnected from yourself because you spend so much time acting instead of being honest. And then one day, someone asks if you're okay, and you automatically say, yeah, without even thinking about it. Not because you're okay, just because you're used to saying it. I think people forget that emotions aren't a bad thing. So being sad or stressed or angry or anxious, overwhelmed, none of that makes you weak or weird. It just means you're a person and life is hard. You're going through something. You don't have to have some huge reason to cry either. Sometimes it's not one big thing. Sometimes it's 10 smaller things, 20 smaller things that keep building up and up and up until you finally can't take it anymore. And that's okay. You don't have to keep everything in just because you think you should. You don't have to be the strong one all the time. You don't always have to be the person who says it's fine when it's clearly not. Sometimes the best thing you can do is stop pretending for once and just be honest about how you feel. If not with someone else, then at least with yourself. Some people haven't cried in so long that they think that means they're doing better. But sometimes it just means you've gotten really good at ignoring yourself. You keep yourself busy all the time because the second you're alone with your thoughts, everything hits at once, and you need to let that happen. So instead of staying on your phone for hours, always having something playing in the background, instead of making plans, instead of scrolling, instead of keeping yourself distracted because silence is uncomfortable. And maybe that would work for a while, but eventually all the stuff you've been avoiding is still there. A lot of people also compare their problems to other people and tell themselves they're not allowed to be upset. They think other people have it worse, or I shouldn't be sad because nothing that bad happened. But just because someone else is struggling doesn't invalidate your feelings or mean that your feelings don't matter. You don't need some huge tragic ass reason to be upset. Maybe you're just tired. Maybe you feel alone even when you're around people. Maybe you miss who you used to be. Maybe you've been trying so hard for so long and it still doesn't feel like enough. I think one of the worst things is when you are clearly struggling, but because you still laugh, you still go to school, or you still go to work, you still post on social media, everyone assumes that you're okay. You can be falling apart and still look completely normal to everyone else. There are people who joke about everything, but because it's easier than being honest. There are people who keep everyone else happy because they don't know how to deal with themselves. There are people who say, "I'm just tired," every day, when they mean a lot more than that. And maybe you're one of those people too. Maybe every time you start to feel something, you immediately tell yourself to get over it. Or maybe you cry for 5 minutes and then feel embarrassed right after. But you shouldn't. You shouldn't have to apologize for having feelings. You shouldn't have to act like everything's okay when it isn't. And honestly, I think a lot of people don't want something to magically fix their problems. They just want one person to notice, one person to ask if they're okay and actually mean it, one person they can talk to without feeling judged. Because sometimes that's all it takes to make someone feel a little less alone.